Why did you take my goals away, man? I'll be with them again soon, at least one.
Cuz I saw that look in your eye. We were about to get complaints from HR because of you. Alright, well I'm still here, so let's talk about Sonic 2.
What? Now you want to review Sonic 2? We just did Sonic CD. Well, you just locked away my plushes and I'm punished for this? What the heck, man? What about Sonic Frontiers? You gotta go finish up.
After the success of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sega, with the smart decisions they make, didn't want to make a sequel. For some reason, they thought it was too early to make a sequel. Maybe it had something to do with the fact that the main programmer left Sega over salary disputes. However, solutions were sitting across the sea. Here in America, there was a guy by the name of Mark Cerny. Yes, the PlayStation guy. He formed the Sega Technical Institute here in America. Not only did he set up the studio to make games, but he also went to Japan and spoke with developers about problems they had working in the industry. One of the people he spoke to was the main programmer of Sonic 1. Not only did Mark Cerny listen to the problems of Sega of Japan and gaming companies as a whole in Japan, but he formed the team and once given the approval began work on Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Do you think people are gonna notice that we're using the same clips from the Sonic CD review for this?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody's gonna notice. Why would they?
Yeah, true. Why's that camera blinking red?
Sonic 2 didn't get approval for a while. The new Sega Technical Institute didn't work on Sonic 2 and instead were being more experimental at first. Suddenly, Mark Cerny got a call from a higher up saying they needed a new Sonic game by October. He got his team ready to make a game and there were complications everywhere. Yuji Naka was a massive dick. The cultural differences between the American staff and the Japanese staff had many disputes, and the Japanese staff were struggling to get to America because of visa issues.
Man, foreign TSA sucks. But man, 11 months was the time they had to make Sonic 2, which was crazy because the team had a lot of ideas for the game. They wanted to go all out for the sequel. So many ideas were left on the table. Time travel was considered for the game but was eventually cut. Levels were also cut too, like a desert level which eventually inspired Mirage Saloon in Sonic Mania. A hidden palace was also made but got cut. We can talk about this later. There were so many things that were cut, but only some made it into the final game. One of the things the team wanted for the sequel was a sidekick. Sega had an internal competition to come up with ideas for a sidekick. Yasushi Yamaguchi eventually was the winner with a small fox named Miles Per Hour.
See, this is the pun on miles per hour. Madeline Schroeder was the person who suggested that they name him Tails. Probably because of his tails, just a thought. Yamaguchi didn't like that, but eventually decided to change his name. So now his legal name is Miles Per Hour, with his nickname being Tails. But nah, he's just Tails. This was Sonic 2's major new addition. Sonic now has a best friend, and it changed history forever. Besides that, Sonic 2 doesn't add much, but maybe that was due to the time constraints and conflicts the team had.
Damn, I thought high school had stupid drama. Sonic 2 had one of the most dramatic developments in a classic Sonic game. The American and Japanese had many cultural differences that got in the way. A lot of the Japanese members were already skilled programmers, making members who were inexperienced not able to pick up the pace, and they usually were Americans. Yuji Naka was also a massive dick. We seem to know more about this now, but even during Sonic 2, he was a massive asshole. Not just that, he was kind of racist. Former Sega Technical Institute staff even said he thinks Naka would have been happier working with only Japanese staff.
What's wrong with Americans?
Racism aside, using Origin's cutscene in the original story, let's explain that story. One day, on this island called Westside Island, a young fox with two tails was running away from two foxes. These two foxes were bullying this kid and pulling his tails. Enter Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic ends up messing with the two foxes and saves the kid. The fox ends up being impressed and starts following Sonic, eventually trying to catch up with him. His two tails start spinning, giving him the ability to fly, and the two go on an adventure. The fox, nicknamed Tails, ends up helping Sonic.
Sonic and Tails go across the West Side Island, collecting the emeralds and defeating Dr. Eggman in the stages. After going through 8 zones, Sonic and Tails hop on the tornado, with Tails flying the plane and Sonic defeating the robots. As Tails gets close, they shoot the plane out of the sky, with Sonic running through the wing fortress.
Blow that piece of junk out of the sky! All fighters!
Sonic defeats Robotnik, and as he runs away on his spaceship, he starts heading to space. Sonic tries to chase him, but he starts flying away. Tails flies in with a tornado with a new rocket attached to it. Didn't know this kid was an engineer. Sonic catches up, grabs the ship, and flies to the new space station, the Death Egg. What an original concept.
You were expecting someone else?
Sonic fights a robot named Silver Sonic.
Don't you mean Mecha Sonic?
Hold up, I thought Mecha Sonic was from Sonic 3. Isn't this one Silver Sonic?
Okay, so the wiki here says that it is Mecha Sonic, but I always remember him being Silver Sonic. I'm confused. This is confusing, man.
This franchise is so goddamn confusing.
Screw this, he's now dubbed Robot Sonic. After defeating Silver Sonic, or Robot Sonic, we see Eggman himself run faster than Sonic. After the chase, Sonic fights the Death Egg robot with 0 rings. Don't get nervous now. After the beatdown, the whole Death Egg explodes with Sonic barely escaping with his life. Sonic then falls down to Earth.
Back on the ground, Tails sees the explosion of the Death Egg and heads to the tornado to save his new friend. If you didn't collect all of the emeralds, Tails saves Sonic's life, catching him with the tornado. The game ends with the two flying towards their new adventures.
I love that ending so much.
If you did collect all the emeralds, Sonic will just fly back down to Earth with Tails flying by his side in the tornado. In Origins, we see the Death Egg fall onto Angel Island, ready for the next adventure.
Honestly, I prefer the regular ending more. Not only does it strengthen Sonic and Tails' friendship, but in my honest opinion, going through the trouble of completing those god-forsaken special stages was just not worth it for the true ending. We'll get into those special stages soon. Anyway, which ending do you prefer, boss?
Honestly, while the Chaos Emerald ending is the canon ending, I agree. I'd much rather see the normal ending because Tails essentially saved Sonic. It would have been a great way to cement their friendship. Instead, Sonic was capable on his own. Regardless, Tails still helped in other ways, like flying and upgrading the tornado or helping gather the Chaos Emeralds. The story was simple in comparison to CD, but it does start the friendship of Sonic and Tails, which is cool. But while people were happy Tails was introduced, the sequel brought new gameplay features for the franchise while also retaining the core gameplay of Sonic 1.
The core gameplay for the most part stays the same, but by far the biggest new gameplay feature is the spin dash. If you hold down and press the jump button, your character will rev up in a ball and get an immediate burst of speed. Back in Sonic 1, you had to earn your speed. If you weren't able to run through that loop, you had to turn around and gain that momentum to make it past that loop. Here in Sonic 2, just spin dash and there you go. Not only is it super fun and satisfying to pull off, but it keeps your speed going, and when done correctly, the whole level can just flow super well. The more you rev up that spin dash, the faster your burst of speed is. Also, you can outrun the screen sometimes, and that's really fun to watch.
The spin dash makes a fantastic addition. Sonic can still roll into a ball to gain speed. Everything from Sonic 1 makes a return. Sonic collects rings, can break monitors that have all the power-ups. Honestly, not much has changed gameplay-wise from Sonic 1. It's still the main thing to get to the goal and explore, but this time the level design was dramatically improved. I said that Sonic 1's level design was a mixed bag because it didn't let you go fast with certain zones, while Sonic 2 kinda took what worked and left all the slow stuff, making Sonic 2 stages better than Sonic 1's. While it can have slow sections, it can be avoided in 2. Can't really do that in 1, but Sonic 2's level design not only keeps things interesting, but lets you go fast and explore. You get the option to play at your pace and even reward you for your skills and experimenting.
I agree. The level design for this game is amazing. You can play it safe and stick to the lower path, which slows down the game just a bit, or you can put your skills to the test and stay on the higher path, which is a bit more dangerous, but they can shorten the length of the levels drastically. What I also love about Sonic 2 are the level themes themselves. You have your traditional first level with green hills. You have the water level that takes place in the ruins, which is amazing since it can be completed without even touching the water. The levels in the sky are really creative and I really like them, and it adds a fun challenge to the end of the game. There's a lot more levels we'll cover in a bit, but one of my personal favorites is the casino level. This level has elements of pinball and, as the name implies, gambling. You can play some slot machines and either get really lucky,
Woo! I won! Woo-hoo! I am rich!
or it'll simulate real life in Vegas, baby.
What the shit?
Yo, not the gun, not the gun!
Viva Las Vegas, baby! Yeah!
These level aesthetics are awesome. Emerald Hill is very similar to Green Hill, but it changes it up. Then you have God, I'm sick of these stages.
Yeah, man. In every single game. Frontiers, Mania,
We can stop it there.
Generations,
Yeah, we don't want to give
Forces,
it. We have no
Sonic
time,
4.
you
I know.
dickhead. These levels are beautiful, but they do have some downsides. By the time you get to Oil Ocean Zone, it does kind of start to meander. Metropolis Zone especially. For some reason, the enemy placement here gets super dickish. It can make you struggle to get through the act. It makes sense, you are at the end, but these enemy placements are dickish. Sky Chase is more of a break, and Wind Fortress is the last climb, and by Death Egg, it's just the last boss.
He's not lying. Once you get to Oil Ocean, it starts to drag just a bit, and Metropolis Zone. What the heck? The music is great in it, the level design is alright, but as John said, these enemies are placed in areas where it could get pretty irritating. Being blindsided by enemies, getting hit and falling all the way down to a previous part of the level could get a bit frustrating. Not only that, but this is the only zone in the game to have 3 acts instead of the traditional 2, and that really makes this level overstay its welcome. But yeah, Sky Chase Zone and Wing Fortress are fun levels before the final boss. Speaking of bosses, let's touch on them for a bit. After the second act of each zone, you get to fight the boss for the zone.
Most of the bosses are pathetic. They don't really get hard. The hardest is probably the Death Egg, and that's only because of the fact you have no rings. The bosses in classic Sonic games have never been that challenging. They can be cool, but they aren't really hard per se. Hell, if you take no damage, you can just keep hitting them with no major penalty afterwards, or jump on them just right and defeat them before they even start anything.
The bosses, while super easy, don't overstay their welcome, and it can thankfully keep the flow going. Some of them can even be taken out as soon as they appear, before they can even do an attack, which is hilarious. And yeah, the final boss is tricky, but once you get the hang of it, the boss can be pretty easy to speedrun. Get witty! On a first playthrough, losing all of your lives here can really suck, as this game didn't have a save feature, and if you didn't have any continues, back to Emerald Hill you go. Which isn't too bad, but you'd have to play all 3 acts of Metropolis Zone again, so yeah, that kinda sucks. After playing the game for a while, it just gets easier and easier though.
Since this is a classic Sonic game, there is still no save system, but it's whatever. Yeah, it sucks getting a game over, but you can speed by levels or explore it, and if you do speed by the levels, they can be done pretty quick. Not just that, but listening to the music is great. The Dreams Come True guy is back, and he did a pretty good job. Music is pretty good, some of these tracks are amazing, very catchy, and fit with the zones. This music is great.
This soundtrack rocks. The songs I really love are Casino Night, Oil Ocean, Metropolis Zone, Sky Chase Zone, and the final boss theme. Despite hating the special stages, I actually really like their music. These songs are so great I can listen to them on loop and still not get bored. The original Hidden Palace music is also something I really love, and I really wish that they use that song in the Christian Whitehead remasters, but we'll get into that in a bit.
Before we jump ahead, we need to talk about Sonic's 2 biggest headache, which are the special stages. So this time, in order to enter a special stage, Sonic has to collect 50 rings just like before, but has to reach a checkpoint. When Sonic reaches the checkpoint, stars will appear above it. When you jump into them, Sonic is warped to a special stage, a half pipe where Sonic and Tails have to collect a certain amount of rings to 3 points to grab the end girl, but these stages suck. The concept may have been cool when the game came out, but the rings and bombs take forever to appear. Unless you memorize the stages, you basically have to pray that you react in time, because if not, you will get hit, lose some rings, miss the goal, and have to try again.
I absolutely hate these special stages. These are my worst special stages in Sonic history. You need to memorize these levels, otherwise just give up because these bombs are gonna blow you up. If you have Tails join your party, he can help you collect rings, but he can also get hit, so you need to be mindful when you have Tails in your party. After all this, whether you got the emerald or not, you're booted back out of the stage with 0 rings, making it take way longer to have another shot at them. This was thankfully fixed as early as Knuckles in Sonic 2, but then Christian Whitehead port removed it again. Once you get them all down and memorized, you can get all 7 Chaos Emeralds as early as Emerald Hill Act 2. In the original game, when you get all 7 Chaos Emeralds, as soon as Sonic jumps with 50 rings, he turns into Super Sonic, which kind of sucks since you can't just choose when to turn into him. But yeah, screw these special stages, I hate them so much.
On the topic of Super Sonic, this marks his first ever appearance in the franchise. This is cool because Sonic becomes invincible, moves faster, and jumps higher. The only thing that can kill Super Sonic is being crushed and drowning and bottomless pits. But yeah, you don't really have a choice on when you can be Super Sonic, leaving you kinda stuck with him. And the Super Sonic theme is stuck with you too. So have fun with that. But he is a lot of fun to play with. But damn, playing those special stages just to unlock him, does kind of suck. That's the general thing about Sonic 2. Level design is great, music is great, and overall it's a pretty good Sonic game, but hunting down a Genesis is gonna be a hassle. So, once again, you have other ways to play.
In 2013, anyone who had Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 purchased on iOS received a free update to the new Christian Whitehead remastered versions. Developed by Headcanon and Christian Whitehead, they rebuilt these games from the ground up. These remasters are beautiful. I mean, just look how smooth they run. Not only do they run at a smooth 60 frames per second, but the game is in widescreen now, so you can see more of the obstacles coming your way. It also adds a save system, time attack, and boss rush modes, and best of all, it improves the special stages in almost every way.
That's right, the special stages are now much easier. Even though you can still lose, they have been modified. Since they were built with the retro engine, they are much smoother, and rings and bombs appear much farther away, letting you react with enough time. This is one of the best improvements in the Christian Whitehead ports. But they also added the new Hidden Palace Zone. The infamous pit in Mystic Cave Zone was converted into the entrance to Hidden Palace, and yet it didn't use the original song from the sound test. It is a nice fun level. Not just that, a brand new special stage was added with cheat codes and the ability to bring in the elemental shields from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Again, these Whitehead ports are some of the best ways to play. They are free with ads and $1.99 with no ads. This is great for mobile and just an awesome remaster, but this also made its way into the Sonic Origins port.
The Origins version is my favorite one, and not just because of my woman. You have unlimited lives and the coins to replay the special stages if you fail, and trust me, I fail a lot, so these are a welcome addition. And my favorite addition to the Plus version of Origins? My girl Amy. God, I love her so much. Playing through the game with her was an overall smooth experience, especially with that jump spin hammer move that she has. She can take out some of those annoying enemies in Metropolis Zone. Oh Amy, just marry me already, baby. Anyway, I think it's time to talk about the most important character in this game, Tails.
In the original game, Tails was just a Sonic clone, but as early as Sonic 3 he was given the ability to fly. But thanks to the Christian Whitehead ports, Tails was able to fly in Sonic 2. By jumping with Tails and pressing the button again, Tails gained the ability to fly. Underwater, Tails was given the ability to swim, making him somewhat easier than Sonic and a good character to pick for first timers. Also in the Whitehead ports, if you pick Sonic and Tails, by holding up and jumping, Tails would start flying. If you jump into Tails' arm, you can have Tails carry you to reach higher sections, something you couldn't do in the original game. The mobile ports and Origins ports are the best way to play Sonic 2. The game uses the retro engine to make the special stages easier, hints to Sonic 3 and Knuckles. The Christian port is really good, with Origins adding a playable Amy and the coins to get rid of lives and let you retry the special stages. Mind you, there are other ways to play. The Switch Online emulation, emulators, but personally I think the best way to play is the Christian port or the Origins port. If you want to play Sonic 2, try it and get one of these two versions, as I think it's the best way to play, and overall Sonic 2 is a fun short time and is definitely worth it.
My favorite way to play Sonic 2 is with Sonic Origins, but honestly the easiest way to play Sonic 2 is with the mobile ports by Christian Whitehead. The retro engine is amazing.
Alright man, well thank you so much for letting me join you on Sonic 2, that was a lot of fun.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, so what's next for you then?
So probably Sonic 3 and Knuckles and then Sonic Superstars.
Okay, Superstars is a lot of fun, man, but what about Sonic Frontiers? I mean...